So recently, Democrats came out with a excellent bill known as H.R. 1. Now, it's basically a slew of different reforms to our election system to make voting easier. For one part of that would be the election day proposal. So it would basically make election day a voting holiday. So you get the day off, you're able to vote. That actually helps people get to the polls. Now, Republicans, led by Mitch McConnell, oh, they despise that. And actually, Mitch McConnell basically threw a fit. Now, on the Senate floor, McConnell had said of H.R. 1, Speaker Pelosi and her colleagues are advertising this as a package of urgent measures to save American democracy. What it really seems to be is a package of urgent measures to rewrite the rules of American politics for the exclusive benefit of the Democratic Party. So yes, he says making voting easier for regular people somehow is to the benefit of the Democratic Party. You know what? Actually, he might be right just for the fact that if more people vote, the Democratic Party tends to win when there are more voters. So it's not Republicans. In fact, look, all we have to do is go back to the 1980s in a speech by Paul Weyrich to see how Republicans actually feel about voting and why they're always seem to be in favor of restricting voting. In fact, I have that video for you. Let's take a look.
Now, many of our Christians have what I call the goo-goo syndrome. Good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
He said it, man. Paul Weyrich, the founding father of basically modern conservatism, the moral majority, right? So he was one of the major right-wing leaders. And here he's saying, I want less people to vote. I don't want more people to vote. Why? Because if more people vote, we lose. So of course we need to restrict the vote. So now here's McConnell saying, basically admitting that these reforms that will make it easier for Americans to vote will end up being devastating to Republicans. Now, of course, instead of championing measures that actually help regular human beings, voters, and trying to get voters on their side with actual good policy that is popular, they instead say, well, we're not going to win because we're the party of the rich. We serve only the rich and corporations. So what we have to do is when we get into power, we're going to rig the rules. We're going to rig the rules against you and rig the rules in favor of us. So that's what we're doing. Now, of course, after this stunning admission, social media, as well as a lot of political figures, decided to jump in. We'll start here with a statement from Elizabeth Warren. Now, Senator Warren said, quote, what exactly does Mitch McConnell have against more Americans voting? Of course, Congress should make it easier for Americans to vote on Election Day. We need a constitutional amendment establishing a nationally recognized right to vote. Now, Ted Lieu said, quote, I'm sort of happy McConnell fears making Election Day a federal holiday. It's such a frank acknowledgement that GOP's ideas are not accepted by the majority of American voters. Any party that is scared of people exercising their right to vote will eventually be doomed. And he's absolutely right. What are the policy positions that are popular among Republicans? Well, I mean, among Republican voters, well, they're against corruption. They're against money in politics. The Republican Party is deeply corrupt and favors money in politics even more so than corporate Democrats. So they're wholly in the pockets of corporations and the rich. Now, they're also against, Republicans are, things like Medicare for All, which polls at 70%, free college, which also polls around 70%. They're actively in climate denial, which again, a majority of Americans say we need to do something and are willing to back something called a Green New Deal, which is massive, transformative, and very, very bold put forward by people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders being the most popular politician in America, by the way, and Mitch McConnell. Where's Mitch McConnell? He's actually one of the least popular politicians in America with with an approval rating of about 19%. So that just shows you the difference here. Now, I've got more tweets here. Darren Soto says, it's very telling that GOP Senate Leader McConnell calls our bill to make Election Day a federal holiday a Democratic power grab. Maybe he forgot that voting laws are for the people and not the politicians. Representative Ted Deutsch says an Election Day holiday would be a power grab. It would be the American people grabbing power back from the wealthy special interests that dominate Washington because Mitch McConnell and others prefer that it be hard to vote. And of course, it's not just Mitch McConnell, it's the majority of Republicans because they have taken that moral majority position, which is, by the way, neither moral nor majority, right? That people should not vote because, well, we shouldn't allow more people to vote because they're mostly going to vote for Democrats. And again, why would they do that? Because Democrats, look, I have my problems with the Democratic Party, and I'm critical of them a lot. But when it comes to policy, we know the Republicans are definitely not on the side of the people. Whereas Democrats, if you push them and you push them and you push them, they will eventually cave and break and do popular good policy. Now, more tweets here. Jacob Soboroff says, Mitch McConnell just mocked the idea of a national election day holiday in the Senate floor. Our turnout sucks, some of the worst in the world, due to our antiquated system. That's things like, for example, New York. New York primaries, you have to register a year in advance. That is insane. And one of the reasons Bernie Sanders did so poorly, even in New York. A lot of the people, independents, in 2016, they didn't know Bernie Sanders was ascendant. They didn't know he was going to run so well in the system, so they didn't register in time. They had to register as Democrats. They were unable to, and so they were unable to vote. That gave Hillary Clinton and the establishment a gigantic advantage. So keep that in mind. That's part of our antiquated system. Another part of our system is the Electoral College, which allowed Donald Trump to pull out a win despite losing the popular vote. Now, if you want to do something about that, you talk about getting rid of the Electoral College. And I don't see enough politicians out there talking about the need to eliminate that. It is archaic, it is a throwback to slavery, and it's something that in the 21st century we don't need. Now there's more. Kirsten Gillibrand. Now Kirsten Gillibrand is expected to throw her hat in the ring for president very soon. Gillibrand said, voting isn't a power grab, it's democracy. It's literally the entire point of our representative government. And by the way, not only should Election Day be a federal holiday, we need automatic voter registration and universal mail voting too. And so that just gives you a glimpse of what Kirsten Gillibrand, some of the policy that she will run on. Now, even the Vermont Secretary of State chimed in on this, and I love this. She said, ensuring that every eligible voter can cast their ballot isn't a power grab. It's a fundamental and constitutionally protected right. Election Day should be a federal holiday. We all win when more voters participate in our democratic process. What are we even arguing about? Love it. Then, of course, you have former Labor Secretary under Bill Clinton, Robert Reich, also tweeting in, only Mitch McConnell and Senate Republicans could manipulate something as benign and well-intentioned as making Election Day holiday into a vast left-wing conspiracy. It really shows you how scared to death they are of American people actually having a say in our democracy. So now, there's a lot of great responses to this. I want to give you a couple more. Stephen Mozzie says, is it a power grab to give Americans a holiday on Election Day? Or is it a power grab to suppress turnout through shortened voting periods, voter ID laws, etc.? Caitlin Burns says, if people voted, we would lose. It's a hell of a take to say out loud on the Senate floor. Matthew Iglesias says, the whole if more people vote, we can't win line from McConnell is such an amazing self-own. Love it. Let's see. And then finally we have Kenneth Heinz saying, McConnell surely is correct in that if anyone who has the right to vote faced no impediment to exercising that right, Republicans would never win. And he's right about that, but let me expand that because I don't think that we're talking enough about how the Democratic Party, in some instances, has also taken some cues from Republicans when it comes to voting in primaries. So primaries matter. We know the Democrats don't like primaries. They don't like when an insurgent left-wing candidates run against them in primaries. In fact, they tried very, very hard to stop Bernie Sanders during 2016, and during 2018 they tried very hard to stop other progressive candidates from running against incumbents. So we know they hate primaries, and so of course they have taken some measures from Republicans to go and try to basically, it depends on the definition of rig, but I would say in certain ways to rig primaries for establishment incumbents against progressives. So while the national debate is about voting rights overall in general elections, we also have to talk about how a lot of establishment Democrats do tend to rig primaries against insurgent candidates during those primary elections. So while Republicans do it in generals, Democrats do it a lot in primaries. So all of that is wrong. And what we need to do is we need to have systems in place to have a fair democracy where all votes are counted, where all candidates are treated equally and have equal time and an equal chance to be able to win on their ideas. I'm for voting for everybody. I'm for allowing everyone to have a say in democracy, because unless everyone does have a say, then it's not actually a democracy. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.